yes, some designs look beautiful, but you've got to think about the fact that they might have three children, two dogs, and a cat, and a husband that loves red wine. It's always that fine line between function and form. And how do you still have something look beautiful that works well for a family home or for whatever needs the family might have?
G'day guys, welcome to the MTDC Lounge. This is a podcast that breaks down everything you need to know about designing and building your ultimate home and what to expect. Whether you're a DIY renovator, a budding developer, or everything in between, we'll dive into the building journey, touching on what to expect, what's next, and how to go about it. We'll hear from a heap of experienced consultants and trades about all aspects. So let's get stuck in. Welcome to the lounge. G'day guys, and welcome to another episode of the MTDC Lounge. Tonight I've got an extra special episode. We have Emma Blomfield tonight from Emma Blomfield Interior Designs. She is an interior designer and she is an author. She is on a Teams meeting, so we had it a couple of days ago. Can't wait for you to have a listen. Please make sure you like and subscribe and share them. Keep an eye out because some wonderful episodes are coming out. Welcome, Emma. Thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Your business is EB Studio and you're based down in Sydney.
Yes, that's right. Thanks for having me.
So you've got about more than 15 years experience within the industry of the interior designs. What brought you into the industry?
So I never studied. I actually did a business degree and then was working for Oriton, the handbag company, for quite a long time during uni. And I absolutely loved doing the window displays, so visual merchandising. And back in 2008, when I graduated uni, Seek had visual merchandising jobs lumped into the interior design category. It's probably different now, and it probably is in the marketing category now. And so I was seeing a lot of job ads while I was looking for where I was going to go to next after university, and kept seeing all these interior design ads. And I was thinking, I could do that job. I could do that job. And naive 21, 22-year-old me thought, oh, well, what do I need to have an interior design degree for to do that? And I ended up applying for a job where she did need an assistant for a marketing role, but she also had an e-com site attached to the business of the interior design studio. And so my job was, for a large part of the role, was to sit there and choose the furniture that was selected to go onto the website and then help with marketing. So that's how I got my foot in the door of the interior design industry, and then have stayed in the industry ever since.
And I guess you've used that kind of experience to market to those kind of people. You've got the 3 books that you've got on there, so you know what you're talking about. And you've actually been noted online to be one of the founding people to bring interior design to everybody on the net.
Yeah, so we did initially start off with a virtual decorating offering because I was working for a property styling company, and then I ended up working for another e-com site for quite a while as a furniture and homewares buyer. So my background has always been in the furniture kind of side of things, and I've loved the decorating part of the industry, and that kind of dictated where the business went when I first started the business. And the virtual decorating was something that I could do while I was still employed full-time elsewhere, and it didn't mean that I had to, cut my day short or work weekends or that sort of thing. So it was a nice way to be able to get clients without having to physically be in their homes. And then obviously the studio continued to roll from there, and now we have a physical space and we've got team members and all of that. So it's been a nice evolution starting off doing the virtual side of things.
What are your main things that you want to focus on your clients when they first come in and speak to you? Say, hey, Em, like I want to design the house. Where do I start? How do I start? What are your key fundamentals that you want to make sure that your clients are following before we start locking in any designs?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? No one really wants to spend time on the planning side of it. They want to just jump straight in. And often we will have clients that call us and go, we've started and now the builder's on site. They're asking this, that, and the other, or we've started to decorate a room. We've bought the sofa. It's just been delivered. It's way too big, or I hate the color. We don't know how anything else in the room is going to work. So can you come in and fix it for us? But if they'd done that planning process at the start and they had their floor plans sorted and they understood their dimensions and their proportions, then some of those mistakes would have been skipped and avoided just purely from having a little bit more time spent in the planning part of the process.
Yeah. What's your workaround for the clients that are really haptic, or they want to touch and feel your colors and designs and textures for all your bits and pieces?
That happens a lot because we have a lot of clients who are baby boomers, empty nesters. They are used to being able to going and seeing things in stores. Our younger clients are much happier to purchase online, sight unseen. We obviously have a huge sample library in our own studio, so our clients are welcome to come in and touch and feel things here in the studio. Or we organise for showroom visits. They pop out to the showrooms. We can attend them with them, or they can go on their own and they can go and sit and see everything in person. And we find that generally after they've had that showroom visit, it's pretty much just the final tick before they're ready to place those orders.
Was there ever a moment in your career when you're first starting off? Was there ever a moment of like, this is my space? Like, was there ever a time? Was there a particular job that you kind of just remember and you're like, this is where I want to be?
I don't know that there was a specific moment that happened like that. I think it's been a combination of things because also we get to do so many different things. We get to design so many different things I would have dreamed of being able to do when I first started out in business. And every single year, there's new projects that we do and we look at and go, wow, can't believe we actually got the opportunity to do that. So it's exciting that we get to have such a wide variety of projects that we do because a lot of designers focus on one niche. We don't. We're quite broad with the types of designs that we work on, and we do residential as well as commercial. So that brings in a whole range of different opportunities for us.
Yeah, no one person's the same. Everybody's got a different flavor. Particularly if you're doing the resi and the commercial stuff as well. You're always gonna have the people who don't have that emotional connection to their investments or to the commercial property, and then you've got the people who, this is my forever home. This is where I'm going to bring my kids up. This is how I want my house to look, and they all come with their wins and their losses, pros and cons. But some, at the end of the day, they're all great jobs, and you're always going to learn something new from them, I suppose.
Absolutely, even if they're hard lessons.
Well, the benefit is that you're easily accessible and you can always flick all the stuff through. So that's the best bit about being online as well. What do you find that your clients' common mistakes are? We'll stick with the resi stuff because I guess that's where the podcast kind of lies. But when it comes to your resi design for your clients, what are their common mistakes and what do you try and tell them to avoid?
We're very big on the practicality side of things. So yes, some designs look beautiful, but you've got to think about the fact that they might have three children, two dogs, and a cat, and a husband that loves red wine. So those sorts of things are really big for us to kind of pull them back in line when they get distracted and they find a beautiful texture or they find a beautiful fabric that they want to use. And we go, great, do you want to replace it in 12 months' time because the kids have trashed it? So it's always that fine line between function and form, and how do you still have something look beautiful that works well for a family home or for whatever needs the family might have.
I was always told you want to get your white curtains because you got your kids and your dog and they're going to rub their hands all over them, and then you can bleach white. That's what I was told, and that's how I've kind
Yeah, that's why hotel sheets are white because they just chuck them in the boiler.
of just completely nuke them. I can get that.
Yeah.
Um, what when people say I should have come here, you would have heard it a million times. But when people say I should have got you in earlier, what is your opinion of, or what? Actually, probably the better question is how do you wish that your clients saw you and understood that they need to come and see you first rather than having a go and doing the job in?
Yeah, we have a lot of clients that wait until the build has already started and then it's a scramble. And then it is a bit messy because part of it's been documented and sometimes it's been documented well by them. Sometimes it's, into Instagram tabs here, Pinterest boards there, flyers, magazine clippings, quotes in emails. So those jobs are actually harder for us to come in at. You'd think that they'd be easier because the client had already started making progress, but trying to wrap your head around things that they've already chosen that may not necessarily be able to be rechosen or reselected, they take us a lot longer to wrap our head around. Whereas a project that we get given right from the very beginning, which is a total blank slate, is much easier for us to start and finish really smoothly because we're in full control of that process. So it's always nice when someone has a bit of an understanding of what the process is like and they engage us right at the start. If you engage us once the build has happened or council's already approved everything, yeah, we can still work with you, but it is harder and you probably will pay more for our time because we've got to wrap our head around what's already been done before we can get started on continuing the project.
Yeah, well, breaking it down and then rebuilding it and restarting. It's always going to be a lot trickier. And then they would have the, I guess they'd have a vibe of what they really want when they're going to see it, when they're going to have their house, and then they go, oh, hang on a minute, this is not going to work, or this is getting too expensive, and then they go, I'm going to go and get Emma involved, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden you're like, well, no, these colors don't go. I am 100% somebody that gets in trouble for it all the time. There's no way that this color goes together. This fabric doesn't go together. This texture, all this kind of stuff, and then it's just the breakdown, and you're starting from the start again. In as a designer and I guess the drafting side of things, when we look after our clients, we usually can get our concepts done and then get you guys involved. Would you like to be, or would your opinion be you want to be a part of the concept bit, or would you be happy with final concepts and then moving on into the DA or the pre CDC application space?
We do both. We don't mind either way. It is obviously nice to be part of the concept phase because there's a couple of professionals in the room that can point things out. And I'm always open to having other people help us with our projects too in that capacity. So it is nice to be part of the concept stage, but a lot of the time we do get called in after, and there'll be a conversation of, hey, we got to a certain point with the architect. We now would like to hand over to a designer. Can you come in and do the finishes? And I think a lot of people don't realize that interior designers can be called in just to do the finish selections after the architect has done the drawings of the joinery or the kitchen or whatever it is that they've done. And sometimes they think they need to stick with one person the whole way through, but we jump across at that stage a lot with our projects.
Yeah, we see it a lot too, and even when we do our plans, we do all the structural stuff, and we make it all look really pretty. We get the interior designer come through, and they're like, oh, hang on a minute, we want to actually put like a cellar, like a wine cellar in here, and there's got to be a cooler space, and we've got to worry about lighting and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
How do you help your clients kind of work through the process of their designs? I mean, obviously you've always got the flavors, you've got your postmodern, you've got your Hamptons, you've got all your kind of designs that you want to kind of follow all the way through. But how do you personally work through the space with the client and say, well, hang on a minute, you are asking for this, but I think you're probably going to be more directed towards this.
Yeah. We always encourage our clients to give us some visual references. And when we don't get any visual references, that's when the project ends up going completely off the rails. We always say that a picture paints 1,000 words. And if you can show us an image of the end result that you're looking to achieve, that will help set us on the right path, because someone explaining to us that's not in the industry, that doesn't have experience, what a Scandi kitchen looks like or what a Hamptons bathroom looks like, I will conjure a certain image in my head, but they have a completely different image in their own head. So trying to get them to show us visuals is the best way to bridge that gap, because so often people don't know what they're talking about in terms of design trends, which we completely wouldn't expect them to because they're not doing it every single day like we are. So that part of the process is really important for us to nail right at the beginning. And then it's the piece that you can come back to throughout the project to go, well, hang on a minute, we're now going down this path. This is what we originally discussed about the design direction. Are we sure we're going to go in the right direction if we go with those finishes, or do we want to go back to what we originally spoke about?
And when you're going through this process, you probably find that the clients have already wasted money on these designs and things that they've already had in mind. Do you find that clients waste their money in particular spaces of the house, or the need to hold on to a particular design style? Do you find that they waste a lot of their money in those spaces? Where do you find that it's segregated between the bunch?
I don't know that it's necessarily the same for everyone, but I mean, obviously, a lot more time and effort gets put into the things like kitchens, laundries, master bathrooms, main bathrooms, because they're the workhorses of the house. But in terms of wasting time and money, often it will be things that they find on the site when they start doing the work, and all of a sudden the budget's cut because there's been some horrific thing that they found under the floorboards they've had to dump a bunch of money into to solve. And so then the conversation comes back to us of, we actually don't have as much money for the kitchen as we thought we did because we found XYZ on site. So can you rework the designs to suit? And that's when you'll go from having a natural stone to then looking at an engineered stone, or just those little things that you can swap out that might help save some pennies here and there that can help keep the project on track, on time, but you're not massively compromising on the end goal of what you want it to look like.
The kitchens and the bathrooms and roofs and things like that are the things that we usually nominate to the clients when we first speak to them. That's where you want to spend. That's where you will be spending the money, whether you want to or not. But that's where all your money's going to go. Do you have a general ballpark that you tell your clients to keep in mind when they're considering an ensuite bathroom or kitchen?
Typically, they've got a pretty good idea of that already, especially if they've got a builder on site. They will have had that conversation. So then our job is to come in and make sure that what we're choosing sticks within that budget. But we do have those conversations often because if you've never done it before, you don't know. And also, building costs change at the drop of a hat, especially this year. So it's always hard to keep up. Even jobs that are already running, they're all changing their costings. And we're having to change all sorts of different things just because the price of all the raw materials has increased.
Yeah, yeah. We generally kind of tell them to expect for kitchen anywhere up to about 50 grand. It's pretty much what we offer. And then similarly with the en suites and the bathrooms, we say expect maybe 30 to 20 grand. Possibly depends on how they want to do it. You can always go to the old Bunnings and get the caboodle kits and stuff like that. But I mean with a nice kitchen, engineered stone and all the bits and pieces, you'd be up the top there somewhere for sure.
Yeah, and it's so easy to do. It's really quick. The budget just blows in seconds.
How are you feeling about the engineered stone? Like, are you digging it? Is it something that you're up to?
Look, I think there's still a long way to go with a lot of it, especially, there's just so many options. That's the thing. And I don't know that anyone's particularly nailed it just yet because there's such a huge variety. There's been so many changes in the last 12, 18 months, and nothing beats natural stone. You can't manufacture that and have it look that realistic. And I think the biggest thing that we struggle with is the edge profiles, and that's the dead giveaway that you've used engineered stone because the edge profiles don't continue through, like the veining doesn't continue through the edge profiles. And then you're limited in terms of what you can do. So that beautiful lamb's tongue or the double bull nose that we can do with natural stone becomes a lot harder to do with engineered stone.
So the bull nose and things like that, it's the rounding of the edges of the bench tops, and the vein doesn't carry through it if it's all shaved back. There's a whole bunch of stuff that kind of comes.
You've got that white strip through it, and it doesn't look any good. It instantly cheapens the kitchen.
Absolutely, and there's definitely a design factor that you have to worry about. Engineered, and it's actually a question that I had the other day with one of the builders. Can engineered stone be greater than the standard 3 meter bench top size, or does that get cut down and there's a joint in between it as well?
I think generally it's around 3.2, but I think it can go. I think some of them do go to 3.4.
Well,
but yeah, if you've got a 4 meter island, you're going to have a joint.
Yeah, and it's going to look gross, and you got to find out where it's going to go. So,
yeah,
for sure. Do you find any trends are kind of evolving, or do you see anything that's kind of coming out? Because like for instance, God knows why, but the archways are coming back in. They're coming in super quick, and I think they're going out super fast again. But do you see any of these evolving trends that are going to kind of come in, or is there anything that's being missed that might be coming in soon? What can people kind of gear up to be kind of ahead of this curve?
Yeah, I mean, we've all switched out all the grey tones, grey cool undertones for the warmer tones. We've seen a lot of the Taj Mahal marbles. We've used a lot more sandy tones throughout all cabinetry, even wall paint colours, especially that's continued through to furniture fabrics. And I think there will be a flip at some point. We will start using warmer greys or even going back to the cooler undertones. We, for the first time this year, have specified chrome taps throughout an entire house, which I haven't done for a very long time. So, I mean, never say never, right?
Yeah, it's funny that you say the warmer creams and the browns and things like that. I'm ahead of the curve apparently, but I only chose those colours because my dog is white and brown, so he can't see her fur so badly. So, when people are coming to see you, where do you find that they should be starting? What's their starting point when they're designing the home, and what is the key and maybe the central location of the house that will dictate everything moving out?
Yeah, I mean, it's the architecture of the home that dictates so much of what you do, and you can change a certain degree of that, but I always find that, and in Sydney we have this a lot. There's a lot of older homes, and then they're adding new additions at the back. And I think the thing that people struggle with the most is how to blend the old with the new without sacrificing some of the beautiful characteristics that you do have in the older homes. So that's our job to try and work that out for them, and making sure that they don't compromise too much. But I mean, budget can only go so far. So sometimes you do have to step in and start being more practical about the things that you're choosing to do, especially in an older home where a lot of your budget can get eaten up in doing the things that are restoring and bringing back some of the heritage that was there before. And then all of a sudden, oh, we don't have any money to do the rest of it.
Sydney and Newcastle in terms of the heritage space is really is a massive thing. How do you I guess guide your clients through working the old in with the new without butchering either of them?
Yeah, it's a really hard one, and I completely understand why people call us because we even struggle with it sometimes too. And especially things like having the small bedrooms that you have in a terrace home because they've got the original bedrooms and bathrooms and narrow hallways, but they've also got fireplaces that cut across on a diagonal in part of the room. And you look at it and you go, it's a beautiful fireplace, but man, that really messes with the whole layout of the room. Where do we put the bed? If we want to do a walkway in to create an ensuite into the bedroom next door and turn that into a bathroom, something's got to give. So, yeah, there are times where you think, oh my God, like, please no one shoot me down for doing this. But sometimes it has to go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, up here, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite. Well, I've done a few down in like Petersham and things like that. But in terms of the heritage up here, for chimneys in particular, we have to keep it at the very least the outside looking the same. So there have been a few instances where we've removed
Yeah.
that ridiculously placed fireplace and had to keep the chimney up the top because it had to stay the same. So it's just a fake chimney. It's
Exactly.
always going to come. Heritage is its own beast and will always come with major problems. But if you know how to design for a heritage space moving into a new space, you're going to be all right going through the rest of the jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
This would directly reflect with your, how do you help your clients with, decision fatigue? How can you walk them through and try, like, they've already gone through us, they've already done the structural design, they've already gone through the council stuff, and unfortunately you guys get the raw end of the deal and you get the guys who have guys have just been absolutely hammered with all these rules and things like that. How do you help them get through this decision fatigue, and where would you recommend them to start?
Yeah, I think we find it more when it comes to the point where they're getting closer to the pointy end of the build and the builders are starting to talk about giving them keys on certain dates. And then we start having conversations around furniture. And that's where we tend to get a bit more pushback and a bit more fatigue because they kind of get to the point where they're like, are you serious? We've just spent 18 months making decisions and now I've got to choose furniture too.
Yeah.
But we definitely do get it with the design part. But I find that they're a little bit more enthusiastic about that because they may have been bogged down with all of the decision making with the stuff that doesn't really necessarily thrill them. So all of the council approval process, all of the builders quotes and tendering out for quotes. And then they get to the point where they're like, okay, I've just wanted to choose tiles and choose tapware for the last 12 months. Can we finally go and do that? So the design side, we tend to find that they're a little bit more enthusiastic. It's the decorating part towards the end, and the on-site project management and design implementation side of things that we kind of have to like give them a bit of a push in the right direction of like, yep, we're nearly at the finish line. Like, let's keep going. We can get there.
It's hard to keep them. It's hard to keep people excited throughout the process, particularly when there's the super dry stuff after the design's happening and getting all the reports and the gross bit. That's usually a real taxing process, particularly when you get to that new bit. Do you take your clients shopping for your furnitures as well, or do you just kind of point them in the direction? Do you have a relationship with certain suppliers, or do you?
Yeah, we do. That's a massive part of our business. We do a lot of that for a lot of different people. So we have a turnkey service where we go and choose everything for them, present it to them, they approve it, and then we do the ordering and we store here in our studio or we deliver direct to site. And we do it in a single day. So they don't have to worry about opening up for all sorts of different deliveries and trades and that sort of thing. We try and manage that process as smoothly for them as possible. we find that works really well for our clients that are interstate, that are moving, that obviously can't be down in Sydney to be purchasing things in person. Or busy professionals that have a day that they're getting the keys and they're like, we don't want to be spending the next 6 months traipsing through the furniture stores trying to find everything. I know I'm going to get the sizing wrong, or I'm going to have to wait 7 months for one dining chair. So can you guys just do it for us? So we can do everything down to cutlery, Dysons in the pantry or wherever they have things that they need, and they literally just turn up with their suitcase and clothes and unpack.
That's fantastic. That's so good. Do you get involved with the lighting design as well?
Yeah, we do. We do a lot of the lighting design. And I think that's something that people forget to plan ahead. And then it's not until they start doing a walkthrough when the walls are up and the ceilings are in and they go, I actually think I need some more light in the bathroom because I can't do my makeup in that bathroom. It's way too dark. And you're like, well, we should have had that conversation about 6 months ago.
Yeah, when I was going in, I've been in the industry for years, and and every time I think about building a house, I'm like PowerPoints, PowerPoints, PowerPoints. We moved into our new place, and I'm like, we should have put more PowerPoints in.
Yes.
Every time.
You can never regret having too many PowerPoints.
Every time. Um, so when someone comes to you and says, "Hey, listen, this is the design I want, make it happen for me," how do you break that down for them? What are their steps to attainability?
Yeah, so we have probably 3 or 4 stages in that process. So we will go away, even if they've been really clear about the design intent, we will still go away and do a concept development document. And that could be 3 pages, it could be 30 pages, depending on the size of the project, where we go and find a bunch of images of rooms that are already finished. We find pictures of materials, textures, fabrics, whatever, and present it back to them before we start the design phase. Because if we just jump straight in, there's often a lot of assumptions that have been made just because you haven't had enough communication with the client or you haven't got to know them yet. And a lot comes out in that concept stage of, oh, yeah, actually, now that you mention it, we need X, Y, Z. Or my husband and I were chatting on the weekend and we actually think we need to do this, that, and the other. So that's a great part of the process for us. And it is actually a really time consuming part of the process. But if we get that right, it makes the rest of the process a lot easier for us and it makes it a lot smoother for the client too.
Yeah, I think in terms of designing a home, whether it's structural or interior design or whatever have you, like I think psychology or getting to know the person like on a very personal level is a massive thing. Particularly, I mean, we do it when we're designing for houses. We want to know how many kids you've got. If you've got any dogs, how old are the kids?
Yeah.
Someone that's got young kids are not going to want to have light, bright, and airy because they're going to come and get dirty. But if you've got older kids and they're not so rough and tumble, you're not going to worry about the mess so much.
And that's that whole practical piece, right? Like we have to have quite personal conversations with clients sometimes
Yeah.
and ask them questions like, are you planning on having any more children? Which you wouldn't necessarily ask in a social setting, but yeah, you do have to ask that because you go, okay, well, this works for you guys now, but if you have another child, this might not work. So if you're planning on doing that, we need to think about that now. I joked the other day that I often know so much about a client in comparison to what they would know about us. We know where you store your undies and socks in your walk-in robe. You don't even know like who I live with or if I have a dog or if I, what my house looks like.
Well, I'd like to say that my clients wouldn't know that I've got a dog, but its hair follows me everywhere. But so what you touched on some pretty like important things. Like I talk to the client. That's usually my first question that I ask the client. They'll have two small kids. I'm like, are you having another one? No way, not anymore. It's like, great, okay, well if that's the case, then we're looking for a growing family. We're looking for trying to
Yeah.
make sure that everybody grows up happily and comfortable. Do you kind of subscribe to the idea that the colors change the feeling and I guess I guess your vibe of your space? Do you design with that in mind?
Um, yeah, I guess we do we do have that plan of longevity, and also we do ask that question up front: is how long are you actually intending to be here? Are you flipping this and going somewhere else? Are you going to stay here for a long time? And then that becomes the form for, okay, cool. So if we go with this direction, if they're still here in 20 years, what are they going to need to upgrade from that or potentially change in those 20 years that are a relatively easy swap out and they're not having to gut the whole house and starting from scratch? So those are really important conversations to have really early on to understand how long are you guys actually going to live here, because that's going to determine how far we go with certain things and the quality that we're going to use too.
Yeah, absolutely. They would be 100% making their decision based on how long they're going to be spending their time there.
Mm,
If it's an
mm,
investment property, they're not going to care. They want to say you want to save your kind of money to just get in there. So yeah, it's a house is a home. You got to make it comfortable, right? So
hmm
it's a big thing in interior design, and interior and lighting design is such a massive changer of a way a house kind of sits and feels and looks. And unfortunately, because of such a great big dirty process between the start and when they get you guys involved, sadly sometimes it just gets cut away. And I think that would be the
Yeah.
definitive changer of whether or not the house is actually a really amazing place to be, and one that's not.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it can be a sad part of the process when you see everything that you've had dreams of at the start, and then you're like, oh, okay, now we're here.
Yeah, yeah. How often have you found that clients have a hard time with that budget shock?
Oh, it's so often. And even now, like it's happening to clients that have already agreed to a certain price and then it's changing on them mid-build. So it's tough. It's really hard to manage. And we lost a job the other day because we wouldn't give a price on site when we did an initial walkthrough. The client was pushing for us to estimate what we thought the renovation cost was going to be. And I said, we're not builders. That would be wrong of me to give an estimation of that because I'm either pricing it too high and you're going to panic, or I price it too low. And then you come back to me and go, this has cost us like $300,000 more than we thought it was going to cost because you gave us the wrong price at the time. So it's negligent for me to start estimating what a builder would price it at. But even if I'd given an estimate, then by the time the builder prices it, all of our raw materials have changed in price so many times this year that it's not relevant anymore.
So you're finding the furniture and all of your materials and furniture are also suffering this price hike.
Everything.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You find
Yeah.
because I hear stories out in the road that you got like 30 to 50% in building materials increases. It's similar to the interior design area as well.
Well, definitely for like tiles and taps and that sort of thing, there's definitely price increases for those sorts of things. Furniture, yes. And then obviously freight for a while as well.
Do you think when you're recommending someone to do a fresh design, they don't know what they want? Do you recommend they design for trends or for, I guess, longevity? Like what are the flavors that you find that are kind of timeless? You hear that word timeless all the time, but
Yeah, and we get told that a lot by clients that I want a timeless look, I want a timeless classic look, and you're like, okay, cool. But once you start digging deeper, I think eventually, I mean, yes, there's trends, but it also is dependent on what you can get your hands on in terms of what suppliers are offering, right? So unless you've got a huge budget to go completely custom with absolutely everything that you're doing, there will be things that you choose that are going to date just purely because you've chosen that tap and that tile in 2026. You're going to know that in 2042. You're not going to see that same tile or that same tap. So that's just the nature of how things are.
do you when what would you recommend someone choose first? Obviously, when you got your bench tops and things like that, they have to come first. They're going to be hardest to remove. But logically speaking, you would assume that they would that your clients would choose your bulky, like your hard surface stuff that would be hard to remove. And moving up, what is it? Floor first, bench tops, taps, or what's your process?
Yeah, we pretty much start with the floor first. So it'll be floorboards or carpet or tiles, or concrete if it's a slab that they want to polish. So generally it's the flooring first, and then you start thinking about what the walls are, and then it all starts to come in from there.
At the moment, I've been told Snowy Mountains Quarter is the way to go. I've been told everywhere.
We've used that a lot.
Well, it's a good looking paint. I'll say that because it's around my place. Um, do you find that you would rather design to a system, or is it more like an ad hoc situation? You come out and you go, yeah, like, do you work through a whole process, or is there sections?
We'd like to work to a process. It doesn't always work like that. So it is ad hoc at times, especially if we've been called in once the builder's already started. But if we're ahead of the builder starting work, then we have a little bit more of that ability to follow a process. But every job's different. So as much as we'd like to still follow a process, sometimes it's just not possible. And you go, okay, cool. Now we've got to down tools and go back and redesign X, Y, Z because they've found something else, or the client's decided to change their mind on something. And so you've got to quickly drop everything and do that edit so that they can do it on site. in time and you're not impacting too much more of the process.
How many times do you find that your process and the process and the whole job, as a matter of fact, just kind of works? What's your best result? Has there been one recently?
We've had all sorts of different jobs going all sorts of different directions. We've had a lot of delays with materials, council issues, a lot of stuff that's just completely out of your hands that you have to just roll with. But then some of them, the smaller jobs tend to be the ones that can move faster just because they're not as big and they're not as time consuming. But it is the larger ones that might be a little bit more difficult to get across the line with councils, or the builder's had to take another job and then they've got to find another builder. So there's always little nuances with every single project that you have to just roll with.
The delays in the system, and I guess getting things, across the red tape is always going to be incredibly difficult. And
Yeah.
the beautiful thing, ideally you want to get involved before you have to change anything, but most of the time you shouldn't. As an interior designer space, one would assume that you don't have to worry too much about council, and therefore you should be able to roll that pretty quickly.
Yeah, generally we don't really get too involved in the council side of things, but we do get caught up if we do start the process a little bit too early and then the architect calls and says, actually, no, we've got to change a bunch of things. So can you please hold on what you're doing and don't go too much further just until we get approval.
I really appreciate your time, and it's been an amazing conversation. You're such a wealth of knowledge. I want to close out on your books. I think that's a really cool thing. I think it's the version of the podcast that I think everybody can hold on to and have a good read. So talk to me about I guess why you started the books, how you got there, and let's talk about the one that just came out last year.
Yeah, I never intended on writing a book before I turned 30, but I did. And I remember meeting with that publisher and I said to her, oh, I've always dreamed of writing a book one day. And she said, oh, what would you want to write about? And I said, well, I teach workshops teaching people how to apply the elements of decorating to every room of their house. And I'd love the books to be illustrated. I don't want them to be photographed because illustrations are a bit more timeless. And she said, oh, we think it's a great idea. So that's kind of how the first book came about. And then we stuck with the illustrated theme because it meant that I was able to highlight certain parts of the book with illustrations much more easily than if I was trying to curate a room to suit what it was that I was talking about. And each time I've written a book, I've probably been given between 6 to 9 months to write it. And if I had to also schedule photography into that, it would have blown out like 2 or 3 years to be able to do that. So illustrating was a great way for us to get our point across really quickly and easily. And especially when it's come to this last book, Style Your Home, because I kept having people asking similar questions over and over, especially when they had trades on site. And they'd be saying, oh, the builder's here and, we're doing this, we're doing that, or the electrician's here hanging the light above the dining table. How much of a gap do I want between the top of the table and the bottom of the light? And I thought, man, I'm getting these questions a lot. I should probably make a book out of it. So that's how Style Your Home came about. And there's everything in there from diagrams of where you hang your toilet roll holder to what height you'd want your wall sconces at either side of a mirror in a bathroom. So we've had so many people come to us and say that is just so helpful. And even some of the girls in my team, sometimes they'll be discussing things and they go, oh, wait, hang on a minute. It's in the book. Look it up.
That's fantastic. I think people need this, and it's from DIYers all the way to investors and guys who are going to do developing. It's a fruitful book, and it's a nice and easy one for at least the mums and dads and the guys who are kind of going into that investment world. I think it's perfect.
Exactly.
I think you're doing an amazing job, Em, and well done, and congratulations. And I really appreciate you spending your day with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
No, thanks, Em. I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to this week's app of The Lounge. To make sure you don't miss out on the next episode, hit subscribe. We'd love to get the message out to more homeowners like you. Make sure you leave a rating and a review, and we'll see you on the next app.